Alright, so welcome back to our final lesson here, everybody. And as you can see, we're inside of Photoshop here. Now, I just want to give you a note that our final rendering time after I hit the rendering button on my personal system took just a little over 2.5 hours. So it may be different on your systems because I'm running a dual Xeon system. Okay, so what I did as well is after the render was done, I simply exported all those images out that were our render elements, and basically just brought them into Photoshop and into one image here inside of Photoshop, so we can go ahead and composite here. Okay, so what we want to go ahead and do is we want to just simply start here by clicking the background layer, turning that lock off, and we're going to call this our color pass final. Okay, so we know that this was our final render. Let's go ahead and turn all of our other passes off here. Okay, so first things that I want to go ahead and do is we're going to be compositing this onto a new image. So what I want to go ahead and do is create a new image. We're going to call this, you don't really have to title it, but you can if you want. The width and the height here are the most important thing because this has to match what we rendered out as. So it has to be 3250 by 1828. The background contents can basically be whatever. I'll go ahead and just put transparent because I'm going to go ahead and turn the background black anyway. So we'll just go ahead and hit OK. And I'm just going to leave this here. So let's go ahead here and start compositing and creating our final image. So first things I wanted to go ahead and do is just alt click and drag the color pass final copy, okay, or the color pass final, so we get the color pass final copy, and then just bring it back up so it matches the underlying image. Okay, I'm going to come up here to image adjustments, hue and saturation, and I'm just going to maybe change the hue a little bit. Now this is all on personal preference. You can go ahead and do whatever you want here, but for me this is going to add a lot more of effects to the actual molecule image. Okay, so we'll maybe say something a little bit purple. Maybe turn the saturation down just a little bit, and maybe change the lightness a little bit. Okay, and we're just simply going to play here with the layer styles. You can go ahead and experiment on your own. So what I like to tend to do is just click dissolve and then just mouse wheel through and try and see what is going to give us the best effect. So I think that sort of looks pretty weird, so maybe we'll go ahead and turn our fill down a little bit here, maybe our opacity down a little bit here, because I don't want to get a lot of that color through. I just want a little bit of that color, not all of the color. Okay, so we'll go ahead here and turn on our GI pass as well, and if you want, you can always just simply do the same thing here. Just run through your render, or your layer passes, and see what's actually going to work best. So I'm thinking maybe either between screen here or color dodge. So if we go with the screen here and maybe just adjust it a little bit, and I'm just grabbing the slider here and basically just looking at my image and seeing how it's coming and fitting along. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn on our reflection pass, and you can see where this is fairly dark, and that's because the light in the GI in the scene didn't necessarily give us a lot of reflection, which is what I want. So we'll come up here to our layer styles and just simply work through here to see what's actually going to fit, and I'm going to have to zoom in here a little bit to actually show you where you can really see the difference here, and you can see those little blue nuclei, I guess what it would be inside of the image, but you can also see like the black there, and that's coming from the alpha map. Okay, so I think that's looking okay. Let's go ahead and turn on our normal pass here. What I want to go ahead and do is come up here to image. I'm going to go ahead and desaturate this, and I'm also going to come up here to image adjustments, brightness and contrast. Okay, so I can change this, And if you want, just for a little bit more, you can always come up here to the levels and adjust the levels of that image. Okay. You don't have to do that, but you can if you want. And again, just experiment with your layer styles and see what's actually going to match pretty good here. So I think that's fairly decent. Maybe we'll just have to turn the soft light pass down a little bit. We'll go ahead and switch our Z depth to the top because we want that one to be our last one. Go ahead and turn on our ambient occlusion, and this is the pass that really is going to add a lot to the overall image. Okay, so what we want to go ahead and do is, usually people will go ahead and just put multiply on it, and you can see where this really will darken up your image. But if you go ahead and play with the layer style adjustments, you're going to get a really neat effect there. Okay, but what I also tend to like to do is duplicate that ambient occlusion level or layer. Okay, just go ahead and move it back, and we'll just turn everything back here to normal. Okay, I'm also going to come over here to filter. We're going to run through our filter gallery, and we're actually going to put a glow in here. Okay, so we don't want any graininess, and the glow amount is basically going to be at your discretion and how you actually want to go ahead and put that in there. So if you want, then just go ahead and rerun it through again, and there you can see where the layer style really starts to come through and really starts adding a lot of really neat effects to the actual overall image here. And that probably is going to be a little weird, so let's go ahead and maybe walk through here and see which one is actually going to fit the best. Okay, so I think that luminosity layer will work best there. Okay, let's go ahead and turn on our Z depth, and we'll go ahead and just turn that to multiply, and we will go ahead and just turn the layer down here a lot. Okay, we'll select all these just by clicking the Z depth pass, the color pass final. I'm going to hit Control E, so that's going to merge all of them. We're going to click Control our alpha channel. I'm just going to drag that new image off, switch back, but you can see where we have that air in the middle there. Okay, so what I want to go ahead and do, deselect. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and actually paint here so I can get the entire portion of that image, and just making sure that this is going to be the full portion here. So I'll just turn on a brush, that I know actually has a hard edge here. So I can paint in that white. Okay, and now I can go back and control click our layer there, just making sure that I throw on the entire channels. Okay, and I will I'm actually having a little bit of an issue there. Okay, just go ahead and control click our alpha channel there, drag it over to our new image. So here you see it where it's inside of our new image here, and I'll just go ahead and just drag this virus render PSD off the screen here. So now you see where we have our virus render on screen here, and we can begin compositing this to create our overall final image. So first thing I want to do is come down here and click on the new layer. Okay, we're going to call this the background. Okay, we'll go ahead and fill this with black. And you can fill it basically with whatever color that you want, just making sure that it's below your main molecule. And we want to go ahead and rename this to the main virus. Okay, so this is going to be the one that's going to be in the middle here. So we'll just come here and scale this down a little bit, and I'm just holding down Control Alt and Shift to make sure that I'm scaling uniformly. Okay, and I think we'll go ahead here and start with Alt dragging to make ourselves a virus copy here. We'll go ahead and drag it underneath there, turn that main virus off, come up here to Filter Gallery, and turn on some glow here. Maybe not so much. Okay, just turn that other one on, and I'm just simply going to blur this one that's actually behind, because I want to try to get a white outline outside of it so it looks like it's sort of glowing. Okay, so I don't want it that much. Maybe that. Okay, we can come up here to Hue and Saturation, and just play with the levels here to try to get it to be maybe a little bit purple. Okay, so we now have that sort of purple outer glow behind it, which sort of makes it look like the entire thing here is glowing purple. Okay, and we'll go ahead here and just start alt clicking and dragging our main virus shape here to try and composite ourselves a decent looking image. So we'll come down here to transform scale. We'll go ahead and scale this one up. Try and place this properly. Okay, and we will come in here and filter blur. We'll use the Gaussian blur. We don't really need it to be that blurred out, but we want it to at least have some blur. So it's going to add at least a little bit of depth to the image here. Okay, I'll take the main virus again. We'll alt click and drag, making sure that this new one's going to be the main virus copy 3, and we're going to rename this back V. So we know that this will be the back virus, and you can see where it's behind everything. And that'll be the start of our back viruses. So we'll come in here and transform scale. Come in and scale this one down as well. And that's actually going to have to go down a little bit more there. Okay. And you can just place these basically anywhere that you want. No particular layout you really need. Okay, so I think that is going to be fine. So we can probably Control E and merge all those down. I'm just alt dragging there so I can create a copy of them. I'll come in here, adjustments, hue and saturation, maybe turn those ones a little bit green. It's probably going to be too green. Okay. Because I don't want them all to basically be the same color, and that's why I'm doing that. Okay, so we'll come up here to our layer styles. And see if we can't change these around a little bit. Okay, and if you wanted to, you can always switch the copy here. Turn this one as a glow as well. And just come up here to Filter Gallery. Maybe throw a little glow on those as well. Okay, and so now that they're behind here, you can probably just turn that back to normal. And we will go ahead here and make sure that we turn these back up to 100%. Come up here to Filter Blur, and we will Gaussian blur those so that we can get that same effect there in the back. Maybe not so much. Okay. And we'll come in here and adjustments, hue and saturation, and try and turn those as purple as well. And a lot of this is just, basically play around and see what's going to work for yourself. Okay. So I think now we can go ahead and maybe bring in a background here. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag a file into Photoshop here. And I will start with, I'm just grabbing a lens flare here. And I'll drag this over. Okay. And what I want to go ahead and do is just make sure that this is going to be at the top. And I'm going to call this lens flare. And make sure that it's going to fit our image properly. Just by hitting Control T there. Okay. We'll go ahead and adjust our layer styles here. Okay, so we can also come in and maybe turn that down, so you can see where our lights basically looks like it's affecting the actual virus here in the top left hand corner. Let's go ahead and grab another copy of our main virus here. Maybe put this on the side, and we'll go ahead and scale this up as well. Oops. Go ahead and blur this out as well. But before I do this, I want to make sure that I rename it main virus left side here. Okay. Grab that and throw it underneath of it so that I can put a little bit of diffuse glow on it. This one will probably need just a little bit more since it's going to be more in the foreground. Okay, so you can see where it has that glow. If I can go ahead and pull it out there. And I'll just simply come in here to blur, Gaussian blur. And you can see where the 106.3 is going to be way too much blur because I don't want it to really affect and come out that far. So we'll just come out. I guess that would just be a couple millimeters there. Okay. Come in here and zoom in a little bit so we can see how we're going to adjust the color here. So maybe see if we can't get enough of that purplish pink right there. Okay. And I'm also going to drag in another photo so I can composite and not have just a standard black background here. And you can find all these images, through Google or whatever. So we'll just go ahead and drag this one in. Go ahead and pull this over. And we're going to call this the main BG overlay. Okay, we're going to drag this all the way down right above the actual physical background. And I'm just simply going to scale this up so that it will fit our black image here. And I will go ahead here and blur this as well, just to the point where it's somewhat visible, but it's not 100% visible to really be able to tell exactly what it is. Okay, and I'm also going to go ahead and drag in another image for our background that I want to overlay on top of that main BG overlay here. And this is just a picture of space. So I'll go ahead and drag this onto our image as well. And I will size this to fit as well here. Okay. And what I want to go ahead and do, from what I'm thinking, is I want to try to match the virus color here a little bit. So I want to make this layer 1, or we'll call this the space BG. I want to make it a little bit more purple. Okay, so we'll just come up here to Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation. Okay, maybe saturate it a little more. Go ahead and play with our layer style here. See what's gonna actually work for us. Okay, so I think the color dodge will work fairly well for us. And we'll just go ahead and affect that. I think I want to go ahead and add maybe a few more of these virus cells in here. So we'll go ahead and grab our main virus, just drag this over. Maybe scale it down. Not a ton, just a little bit there. We'll go ahead and put a Gaussian blur on that as well. Not a whole lot. Okay. And now we get to distort some of these. So, gotta leave those where they are. Okay, so let's go ahead here and click our virus 2 copy, which is going to be our front one. We'll come up here to image, or I'm sorry, edit, transform warp, and just try and warp it a little bit. I'm not going to warp it a massive ton of it. I just want to do it a little bit here. Okay. Just so that everything's not so uniform and basically perfect. And I'll do this for the main virus copy 3 as well. Almost like whenever it moves, it's sort of going to be like gelatin. Okay, oops, shouldn't have alt-clicked that one. And we'll go ahead and do that for the left side, and I'll just composite those together by hitting Control E when I have them both selected. Okay. And like I said, it's just, a lot of experimentation and just, basically play with what you think is going to look good. Okay, so I think I'll call that pretty much it for our final image here. Maybe just move this up here as well. And yep, I think I'll go ahead and call that for our final image. I'll definitely include everything that you guys need to work through the project, not only with the Maya files but with the Photoshop files as well. Also the PDB file from the virus database. I definitely hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and it's been a pleasure making it for you. So keep your eye on the website and continue to watch. Thanks.